Hi, everybody, and welcome to another in the Heritage Trust series of lectures. It's a wild and windy night here in Halifax in February of 2022, and I'm not sure if it's equally wild and windy wherever you're joining us from. But I hope that you're going to really enjoy meeting two people who are involved with a very, very interesting program to tie together uh, old houses and old buildings, not only in Nova Scotia, but in other parts of the world. We're very fortunate to have with us here Nancy Donnelly and Marley Donnelly, who are part of what has begun, I guess, the genesis of it was a family thing, but is the Ancestral Homes Network. And they're going to tell us a little bit about a platform that they are literally building almost as we speak. I think it's a very new platform, and it has I think it has a terrific amount of potential for anyone who is interested in heritage buildings and also in the heritage which has been created around buildings, even if the buildings themselves are not here. And of course, for those of us who are the lovers of the big artifacts themselves, this is all to the good, and it raises all the more awareness of the physical context in which so many of our ancestors have lived. So without much more ado, I'd like to turn the stage over to Nancy Donnelly. And just to remind you one last time that we will be recording and there will be time for question and answers afterwards, if you want to just type your questions into the chat function while we're going. So Nancy, take it away.
Thank you very much, Michelle. It's a real honor to be here tonight. Thank you to the Heritage Trust of Nova Scotia to invite us for this event. I'm joined by Marley, she's my niece, and also our Vice President of Technology Development for Ancestral Homes Network. She'll be coming back a little bit later to give us a little tutorial on the website itself. In the meantime, I thought I'd start with a presentation on the site itself. So I'm just going to share the screen with you. Okay, so tonight I'm going to try and keep this as concise as possible to allow us to have time to chat and answer any of your questions you might have. As Michelle said, what I suggest if you just put your questions in the chat, and as you think of them, and then at the end we can address them all at the same time. I think that might be the best way we can work on this. So on tonight's menu, I want to talk about our mission, where the heck we come from, why we're different from some of the other sites. We'll talk about the platform itself and the app, where this idea came from, and then we'll go into a bit more detail about our definition of an ancestral home, what we see as the nice links to what the Heritage Trust of Nova Scotia is doing as well. And then, of course, as Michelle mentioned, we are a startup, so we have a vision, and it's big, and so we want to tell you about where we want to go and how you can help us get to that destination. Then we'll go into, again, more specifics about how to add a home and how you can get other people to join you in adding homes. Marley will take over at that point and go step by step so that you can understand and hop onto the site right after the presentation if you want to. And then we can address your questions in the Q&A. So if we're all good to go, I'll just start here. So Ancestral Homes Network, our mission is to provide an internet-based platform for collecting, storing, retrieving, and sharing information about ancestral homes and the families that once occupied them. So when you come to our site, you can approach it in two ways: as a researcher, looking up, putting in your name or the country and looking to find if there's information, or you can be a contributor to the website itself. The idea is we are going to go gather information to build this site. Now, many of you know you're all passionate about genealogy and heritage properties. There are a lot of different sites that are related to genealogy, ancestral.com, heritage.com, you name, there's a lot of them. But what we were finding is that a lot of them were linked to family trees. And when you are searching for information, there's sites where you can go and find a grave, you can get census information, funeral information. There's a lot of different information spread out all over the place. And when you want actual information about a home, it's often difficult to find. It's there, but you have got to dig for it. And once you gather the information about your own specific home and perhaps the architectural details, there's nowhere to put it. So this is where we've come in and said, no, we're going to focus on that aspect of genealogy. As I mentioned, we are wanting people from around the world to share their information. And it's accessible via our website, ancestralhomes.net, and our app it's an Android app. So the website is a mobile website, so you can use it on your phone and use it wherever you want to use it. The data that we are collecting is contributed by you, the users. So you will have your unique username, and it's all securely preserved and can be shared according to your desires. If you want to keep it private, you can do that. But ideally, it is to share with others so others can benefit from the research that you have done. And with each home that is added, our end goal is so that we create an international archive of ancestral homes. That is the big dream. Now we're a newly registered not-for-profit corporation. It was founded by my father, Phil Donnelly, in December 2020. We do have a board of directors, and what's interesting is our board of directors it's a mixed bag of backgrounds. We've got Marley, who is our vice president of technology development. We've also got another member in Ottawa. Myself, I'm based in Saguenay, Quebec, and then we have a young director who's passionate about homes in his own village. That's what got him interested. So we roped him in to come join us, and he's based in Ireland. So I just wanted to show you a little clip. I don't know if my dad is online today, but I wanted to give you a little clip of why he decided to start this. I'm going to ask Marley to share her screen with you. I'm just going to stop my share so that Marley can share her screen. Play that clip.
Yes. All right, and let me know if there are issues with sound or anything. We're struggling a bit beforehand. All right, can everyone see?
I'm Phil Donnelly. I'm the founder of the AncestralHomes Network. And the roots of that project are in Ireland. And I had the idea when I started, or when I was in the process of writing my memoirs, The Eyes That Shone, from Ireland to Canada in the 1950s. I realized that there were so many of these ruins of the homes of Irish families who lived 100 years ago. It's forgotten almost completely who used to live there. So I decided that we must do something about that and start a project to record the memories of what I call these old walls, the homes of our great-grandparents.
Thank you, Marley.
No problem.
So as you can see, this was started, the idea was almost 20 years ago that he got it going. And over the years, you know, the idea is developed, and then we realized that, no, we have something special here. So that's why we did go ahead and register as a not-for-profit corporation. I'm just going to share my screen again. 1 moment, please. Okay, so what is an ancestral home? That's a pretty basic question, and for us, we have decided that an ancestral home, for our purposes, is a human habitation or its remains in any time period anywhere in the world. So it's a very broad definition, but we chose to do that because, as many of you know, houses tend to disappear over time. So with new developments and just the progress of time, you can have a pile of rubble that used to be your ancestral home. Your ancestral home could be have been replaced by a condo development. So we wanted to make sure that people had the opportunity to pinpoint their ancestral home, even if it isn't still standing. And of course, it can be anywhere in the world. When I looked at the objectives of the Heritage Trust, it was nice to read, you know, the object of the society is to promote, foster, and encourage interest and preservation of buildings and sites of an historic, architectural, and cultural nature within Nova Scotia. Well, you know, what we're doing is, I hope we can add to that, because, you know, there are the different heritage trusts across Canada, around the world, and quite often the focus is on heritage buildings that are of, you know, some significant architectural value that stands out. Well, many ancestral homes are just average homes, so you know, they might not fall under the catalog of being officially a heritage house, but for each family, that home is of significant value. So that's where the cultural nature comes in. So imagine if we can get everybody to put in the information about their little regular home, but the collective knowledge that we're building would be incredible. And of course, there's with the more important heritage homes, we'll say, they have their place here too. And I know a lot of places are struggling to get the information that exists digitized. So, you know, if we can use this system, that would be great. And we are in contact with the Center for the Study of Historic Irish Houses and Estates. It's a department of the Maynooth University in Ireland. They were interested, and we are talking with them about adding homes to our website. They have given us 5,000 data points of historic homes. I know the problem is they have the points, but they don't have the data digitized. So we're looking at seeing how we can use our website to have a place to house their information. Now, if you were to go onto the website, I just want to show you a quick example. My father's home, so my grandparents' home, it's in Ireland, in Gunadara. So when you go on to, when you create your username, you create a file for each of for your ancestral home. So things like a county, townland, parish description, and then there are the different sections, and Marley will be going into more detail on this. You can put in events, you can talk about the residents, the census information, your references used, photos. There's all different fields that you can fill in the information that you have. And as an example, my dad was able to put in the information that he was able to remember as a child, and also the information that he was able to dig up through different census information. So when we started, because of my dad's heritage, the Irish heritage, you know, we had contacts with different organizations in Ireland. So it was a natural progress to work with them and think, okay, well, we're in Canada, so we'll talk to the Irish diaspora of Canada and spread the word and try and build up some homes. And of course, we said, well, there's Irish diaspora around the world, so we can push it even further. But as we continued talking to people about this site, I mean, obviously Canada is a very multicultural country, so there's people coming from all over the world, and they all have their ancestral homes, and we realized that it'd be great to be able to ensure that anybody from anywhere around the world could come onto the site and find within our site the relevant data fields so that they can put in their information. There's no standard address format, so we want to be able to make sure that people can input the information that they have about their homes. Now, as this progresses, obviously we'll be building a very nice database, so we'll be able to engage different groups such as the Heritage Trust, different genealogical societies. We want to promote ancestral homes research, and then you know, sponsor educational grants, scholarships. We could see building games to go with it. There's a lot of different avenues that we can go towards, but at the moment it's focusing on, let's get people interested in preserving the information they have before it is lost. So just a bit of a repetition, we're creating a database that will be rich for future generations. We're at the beginning of something. Everything has to start at the beginning, and so that user generated content that hopefully will come from people such as yourselves that are listening tonight. You're using the research you've already done, and you are putting it in a place that makes it easier for the next generation to use, and we can build from that point on. So we're preserving precious information that would not necessarily be saved. There's, as I mentioned, heritage buildings are often documented, but just the regular average Joe's house is not. Again, by ensuring that we keep other cultures and in mind, we'll be able to create links between different cultures so that you've got, imagine nowadays it's not uncommon to have people coming from different countries, couples being of mixed heritage, those families breaking up, creating new links. So you've got this mishmash of ancestral homes that, if you can keep the story recorded somewhere about each of those heritage and ancestral homes, you're building a wonderful path and following a whole migration of people and a whole movement of society. Of course, this provides incredible educational and learning opportunities for students. As an example, in 2020, my dad approached the architectural faculty, sorry, I lost the word, faculty at Carleton University and said, look, we are looking for people that are interested in architecture and heritage. You are experts in your field. Could students be interested in doing a project? They thought it was a great idea. A couple of students spent their semester studying 15 heritage homes that they identified in the Ottawa Valley, specifically on Irish settlers. They knew nothing about genealogy, and they didn't know anything really about how homes and their development from an architectural point of view, looking at it as a heritage point of view. They came away saying that they had learned incredible amounts of information. And then with the research that they had entered onto our website, they were also invited to a symposium to present what they had found. Everything from the angle of the materials that were used in the homes and why they were used, and why were Irish settlers using these materials. So it became a very interesting educational project. And then right after that, they were invited to another event to present to the Society for the Study of Architecture in Canada. So there's lots of potential. And again, just this last semester, we had another student at Ottawa U who is a geography major, and he entered 15 homes of Scottish settlers in the Ottawa Valley. So as I mentioned, that the site we want it to be useful for those that are researching, that are just interested in finding out what they can about their family by the family name or the country. Hopefully the audience tonight will be interested in adding their own ancestral home, because it is important. We've got to generate that interest to build up more and more home entries. It's, we're looking at ways of generating this information. Quite often friends, family members, gather them together, and if you have some information by talking to other families, you can generate more anecdotes about what their memories are. Well, we have space on each of the files to add in anecdotes if you want to, add in other photos. So it can be a family event where you generate information. For genealogical societies, why not hold challenges within your between your members? Put in 10 homes over the spring session, and then present them to your fellow members. For neighborhoods, villages, towns, if you can even start to talk to archives and even the tourism industry. I work full-time, that's my full-time job in the tourism industry. And there are a lot of places now where you can go with your phone, scan a QR code in front of a home and find out all the information about that home. Well, imagine if, we can hook Ancestral Homes into one of these systems for more and more homes as smart cities are developed. And of course, intergenerational conversation and communication. If, as a parent or as a grandparent, you can be entering information, but, ask the kids, what do they want to know about the house? While you still have those memories, if you can add things in. I know I asked my dad hundreds of questions about, oh, did they have indoor plumbing? Oh my goodness, they didn't. No, and he's telling me about chickens that would run through the kitchen. Well, to me, that's, I can't even imagine that. But these are things that he can add in as information, and it's not stuff you'll find necessarily in a history book. It's just your everyday life that you can add in to your entry. So I'm going to hand it over to Marley now, so that she can give you an idea of how it actually all works.
Yeah, so thank you for that. As she mentioned, I'm Marley. I'm the VP of Technology for Ancestral Homes, and I'm just going to share my screen really quickly. All right, there we go. Hopefully everyone can see. So yeah, Ancestral Homes, as it currently stands, has two main purposes. The first of which is kind of your more traditional website purpose of sharing information about our organization. So who we are, how we got started, how you can help us, why you might want to. So all of that's kind of spread throughout the homepage, as well as in these about and contribute sections up here. I'm going to do, however, what makes Ancestral Homes unique, though, is that it's also meant to be a tool, as was mentioned, something that can both be used to record and search for information, kind of facilitating the process in a way that's really easy to just get into and get your hands on. So I'm going to start that process right here on the homepage. And let's say that I'm the kind of user who maybe is just kind of exploring their ancestral history for the first time and doesn't have much to go on. This page may be all they actually end up needing, because all you have to do is enter in a family name. Click search, and immediately you're taken to our search page, which has already been filtered down to show just the homes that we have in our database that have some record of somebody with this last name. Right off the bat, you get a bit of information. You get photos if there are any, maybe a colloquial name for the home if something came up. A bit of geographical information, and then the approximate year that the home was actually built. If I click in, though, as you kind of saw earlier, you get a lot more detailed information. So you get additional photos, if any have been provided, get a whole host of geographic information, structure details, if any. This one's a little sparse, it's just got year, any events, all of the different residents who lived on the property, census information with links available. And then if you use any external resources to kind of do your research, you can document that there as well. So if I go back to the search page, though, you'll see that you're actually able to get a lot more granular than just name if you'd like. So if you're someone who maybe has a better idea of what they're looking for, or maybe is looking for something completely different, you can either use these top two fields here, country and family name, which are our most popular ones for sure, or you can actually use our advanced search tab right here, which actually allows you to search by any of the fields in our database that we currently track. So you can get really, really granular here. It's subdivided in the same way as that detail page I showed you earlier. So for example, if, for instance, I wanted to look up homes in Halifax, all I have to do is pick out the fields that I'd like. I'm going to specify Nova Scotia just because there are other Halifaxes in the world. I'll click search. And there you have it. 4 results, all of which are located right here in town. And if I click on those, I get the same sort of detailed information. All of this is available without
The sound is not great.
Yeah, all of this is available completely to sign up for anything. We just enjoy information, feel it should be shared. But if you do sign up, you then gain access to the second important part of the platform. So I'm already signed in here. But yeah, once you create an account, which just requires an email address that we don't keep or use for anything nefarious, it's literally just there to prove you're you. You then gain the ability to add records of your own to our database so that other people can search for them. So as you can see here, I've already entered 4 just sort of in my community. And I'll get into how to do that in a moment in a bit more detailed fashion. But as was mentioned, if you happen to be kind of a bigger organization, maybe you have files already on hand and you know, in a CSV document, maybe something that you'd use in Microsoft Excel, and you don't feel like entering all of that information in one at a time, something that we've created for Maynooth in their studies is that we can actually upload homes in bulk. So there's this one. So all I have to do is pick my CSV, decide how many rows I want to enter. I'm just going to pick a small number because I'm going to have to delete these later probably. And click the upload button. And then if I go back to my homes, whoop, of course, nothing like doing a live demo. Try that again. There we go. Please refresh. Interesting, that's new. Of course, live demo, it happens, but normally they'd show up there. I'm going to focus then on just the individual adding of the homes then, which is probably the way that most people are going to end up doing it. So the only field that we actually require is this first one that shows up here, and that's location, because as was kind of mentioned, a lot of the ancestral homes that we record maybe don't even exist anymore. And so having sort of a coordinate to base all of our records on is sort of the most concrete way that we've found to make sure that everything sort of has a place and is easy to track. So if you already have the coordinates of your home ready to go, and good on you, you can enter those manually. But if you aren't quite sure, maybe you just have sort of a general location in mind, you can actually use this snazzy map over here. So I'm going to zoom in somewhere in Nova Scotia. I might be a little biased. All I have to do is click a spot on the map and it'll fill in those coordinates for me. Now I could go ahead and enter in all of the location details myself, but we've actually managed to make this a little bit easier too. If you just click this autofill location button, it'll actually try and figure out as much information as it can for you just based on the coordinates that were given. So based on the point on the map that I clicked, I was able to get country, as well as province, city, municipality, and I can then go in and add as many other details as I would like. And maybe edit some things if our autocomplete didn't get it quite right. All of the fields following location are up to you to add. If you know it, awesome. If you don't, that's okay too. So we've got census information. So I can type in here, as many links as I have. And then any structure details. So let's say that our fake home in 1778, I'm going to give it a random name. And if I have any descriptions about the home, either as it currently stands or as it once did, I can enter those in too. The rest of the form fields work in a similar manner. I can add as many events as I like. And they don't have to be in order. It'll reorder them in the proper chronological way once we display them. And of course, at any time, if you notice that you made a mistake or you want to add something new, you can go back and edit those as much as you like. Go ahead and delete this one. And same deal with residents. There's just a bit more information to go through. Let's see. And because with a lot of historical data, there isn't necessarily always, a defined occupancy start date, end date, things like that. Any of the fields can be made approximate. So if you do happen to know the information, we've also got handy dandy little calendar tools that you can then use to enter years. Finally, the fun part, you get to add your photos. So you can either click on this box or drag them straight from your computer. All right, so I'm going to grab these 4. All right, I'm going to click upload. Wait for those to pop up. Nothing like sharing on Zoom to really kill your internet connection speed. And then if I've used any references, I can put them in here. Finally, once all of my information is ready to go, I can go ahead and submit it. You can see here, successful. Double check. Yeah, so now if I were perhaps to enter family name Stark, click search, there's my example home there for everyone to see. So I can click in, see details, and there you go, all perfectly preserved, safe from water damage, pest damage, all of those things that threaten genuine real life documents. Plus, as my parents always used to tell me growing up, if you put something on the internet, it's there forever, which in this case is awesome. So that's the general rundown. And I hope I wasn't too unclear.
Thank you, Marley.
No problem.
I'm just going to share again my screen, and what we've done as well. Marley has created some tutorials that has even more detail, and they're on our YouTube channel. So in this recording, you can always go find the link, or on YouTube, just look for Ancestral Homes, and you'll find our tutorials there. You'll see there are some tutorials that are for the website, and then if you're using the app, it's a slightly different way of proceeding, very minor differences, but they can both be looked at and you can play with those. Now we also have started a Facebook group because we wanted people to tell us about, if they're having any problems, or if there's things on the site that are not user friendly, if they would like features added, or if you just want to exchange about your ancestral home, well, come join us on the group, and hopefully we can get some good conversations going. Now, we've already got several people from Ireland on our group, and we've had a few questions from users already, but I encourage you to come on and join us with your questions. I'll also leave our contact information. We're happy to answer questions, so you just let us know. I think I'll take your questions or comments now. I'd love to hear what you think of this, and if you think it can be useful to what you're doing now with your societies and your own information. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nancy and Marley, both. It's an enormous project. It's fascinating. It really, really is. I guess just while we're waiting for any questions, one thing I was wondering about is if somebody begins or enters even some very basic information about a house, and they know that there are other people who will have more information now, do they just leave the file as it is and it is automatically editable, or do you invite somebody you may know that you know has more information to edit? How do you work that or suggest people work that?
Yeah, this is one of our next steps on the development of our site, because we have thought of that. For the moment, what you put on the internet is your own information, but we understand exactly that some others might have information. So what we want to develop is if some other researcher is on there and says I have more information, they would put in a request to edit, so that you can, as the owner of the file, allow that person to make edits. We don't want just random edits happening. We want people to control what's on their file.
So somebody begins and say, I would begin the work on 203 Hudson Street or something, and then I would say then anybody who wanted to add more would contact me.
Yeah, that's a feature coming soon.
Okay. But you're right, you don't want random edits. For
sure.
So do you have any idea of, I mean, I can see that there's going to be a time when you sort of hit a critical mass, when this begins to become, I mean, right now you're looking, I take it, mostly for people to add information. And do you have any sense of how much percentage of coverage, or any kind of measure by which you'll know we're now at a critical mass when people can begin using our work for research?
Well, it'll really depend. I mean, just our first contact with the Center of Study of Historic Irish Homes, they gave us 5,000 homes that we can put in, but we don't have all the information. We've got the data points about them, but if we can get interest in it, and if people do have that bulk information, we do have the capability of uploading it and adjusting for what has been found. So as the different archives, I spoke with the woman at the Halifax archives, and some things are digitized, but others are not. So if we can have the files, Marley is a genius that way. She'll be able to find a way to import it into our system, and we can generate things faster. So it allows more potential for research.
So in some cases there are, sorry, I don't know, are there any other questions? I mean, please don't feel you have to type questions in if anybody's wants to ask more. But.
I think there's a question. Is there quality control over additions to the database? Well, as I mentioned, we are asking people, and that's in our privacy controls, you are creating your information, so we are hoping that people will put in good information. And then eventually, as we allow for this edit feature, I mean, that should help in the quality control as well. So yes, there is quality and control in that we've made the assumption that people that are interested in this will put in their own information about their own homes. And eventually, as I said, we'll allow for edits to happen.
Also, from a technical perspective, if I can jump in, the first and most important thing that we did when kind of considering how we were going to preserve the quality of the entries was first and foremost to ensure that people have to log in to enter home information. You can't do it anonymously because sort of the idea of, having to give someone your email address, confirm that address belongs to you, adds a certain layer of accountability. If we happen to get a bunch of junk entries from one specific user, we can block them. And it's a lot less tempting to go in and put in false information if to some degree you're being held accountable. On top of that, just to make sure that the entries that get put in are useful to researchers, we do have a minimum amount of fields that have to be entered. So in addition to location, you also have to add like one other detail, either the name of the house, maybe one or two residents or an event, just something to make it a bit more than just sort of a trivial, oh, I clicked a point on a map and now I have an entry, haha, kind of thing.
Are you able to use registries like, Canadian, well, say even for instance, the HRM Registry of Historic Properties? I mean, are you able to use that as sort of a linking to upload those and then people at least know that they can get information out of the registry, or not useful to you yet?
It is definitely technically possible. We do have to be kind of careful about, who owns the information, whether they're comfortable with us sort of taking it, because we do a process called scraping, essentially, where we go look at the website, copy all of the information for our own needs, and then put it into the database. So possible, but in terms of just making sure that all of the quality stays as high as we want it to, that we're getting entries that have, photos and maybe some personal anecdotes and things of that nature. We haven't gone down that route super far yet, but it's definitely sort of on a roadmap for the future.
Okay.
Yeah, we're in the beginnings of our, as I said, we've been going for a year now, but we see definite potential as we go out and talk to different societies. That is our hope, that they will give us permission to upload information that they do have.
Oh, great. Yeah. Because that would be I mean, there's always, or I shouldn't say always, but there is usually some kind of quality control before things are listed. Isabel has just asked along the lines, she's saying, would there be any way to link to ancestry.ca and their census databases?
Certainly, at a surface level, at least, we currently have in the form there the ability to add hyperlinks that will show up as hyperlinks when you actually go into the document details. So to a certain extent, yes, if you've got a website link somewhere, you can add that to your record.
Okay. Wow.
I see there's another question here about my great-grandparents have a business. I believe it was a diner that was very important to them. I know that it wouldn't be an ancestral home, but would it be suitable for the site? Oh, there's a good question.
I slept there one night.
Ideally, it's the home information that we're focusing on. But if this business is important in your family history, I mean, why not? It's part of who you are, and it's linked to your family development. So nobody's going to be there to say no, you can't enter it. It's important to your heritage. So,
and I think we have a couple of business entries already, don't we? I mean, Henry House is now a restaurant, and then the Wing Sang building in Vancouver that was put in, I believe, is a business as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and that home in Vancouver, the people lived in the top few floors, and then there was a business on the bottom. So, but that is an example of the combination store and residence. With this question, you say it's just a business, but
Actually, until quite recently, homes and businesses were very often combined.
Yeah. And they might find out that when putting in that information that sure enough it started out as a home. If you don't, perhaps that information is not known, and by adding it, you'll find out more information about that site.
So is there a way of alerting people? I guess going back a little bit to the question about invitations, I mean, is there, are there balloons or pins or anything on the site to show what is already there? Or is there a way of people knowing that there's already some activity in a given area?
So that's one of the features that we have on our mobile app that hasn't made it to the webpage before. We did have it. We had a tech consultant in who told us that it was a little bit busy. So we're working on actually redesigning it to be a bit more user-friendly. But basically, we had a map page with little pins in it. So you could actually go and look at your location and see if anything else was around you, just sort of visually. So we're hoping to put that back in soon.
And we will put it back in.
We will.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's because it's visually speaking. I mean, if you go onto the app, take a look at the app, and the first thing you see is, the world map, and there's a bunch of pins on it already. So it's interesting to go and scan it, and we'd like to have that on the website too. It's a
Natalie has just written that I think this has potential to be a wonderfully useful website, and she's downloaded the app already.
Oh, good.
With a few homes in mind. So this is good. So are you going to be talking to any other groups?
Well, you're our first major group that we're spoken to, and as I said, I mentioned the historic Center for Historic Homes, but we're putting out feelers to different genealogical groups in the Ottawa area, for example. We're working with the Chinese Community Center in Ottawa. We had one student that wanted to do a project, and he was from China, studying in Ottawa, and he wanted to work on this. And so we put him in contact with the Chinese Community Center, and they're also trying to recruit volunteers to enter some homes. So, little by little, we're knocking on doors and doing what we can. I mean, we're all volunteers at this, and we all have full-time jobs. So we're starting out small, but I think it can grow. I mean, if your group sees the potential in this, hopefully we can use your poll and your entries to confirm and improve the site. I mean, you can be our pilot project almost. We've already done the pilot projects on a smaller scale, but let's get into a bigger way of looking at things and create a nice network of different genealogical groups and heritage groups.
We'll do our best. Thank you so much. I tell you, we often just sort of break up into an informal, we just call it virtual tea and cookies here and stop recording. But if you're willing to hang around for a few more minutes, if anyone has any informal questions, then that would be great. And
sure.
Just say thank you so very much.
And thank you again for inviting us. And please, if there's any other questions, please let us know. We're very happy to answer anything you have as questions.
Obviously made yourselves very accessible and available. So this is wonderful.